In partnership with the Curtis Institute of Music, WHYY presents the following program.
Tell me your stories again.
My name is Aaron Crouch, and I'm from Bowie, Maryland, and I'm a tenor here at the Curtis Institute of Music.
My name is Lindsey Reynolds. I'm a soprano at the Curtis Institute of Music.
Anansi, there is no one as lucky as you. If I may say so myself, which I...
When I was in middle school, I was in the choirs, and I found this performing arts high school. I thought they were going to teach us how to sing like Beyonce or Michael Jackson, but turns out that they had us doing opera scenes. We were getting voice lessons every week, and I really didn't want to stay because I wasn't interested in opera.
Yes, in Nyame they can share it.
But my mother made me stay because she thought that it was something worthwhile, and she clearly was right because now here I am.
I started out in musical theater at the age of 7, and the director of the program recommended that I sing opera. And of course, like anyone else, I was very surprised, as to why she would say that. But I went to art school for opera singing, and I later fell in love with it. And I applied to Curtis, and somehow I got in.
Curtis sponsored a couple of students to attend the Sphinx Connect conference. Sphinx is an organization that promotes diversity in the arts.
I think when you clap, instead of doing this, we should have the same motion that Yuwon has. 1, 2, 3.
And Mary Javian was there too, and she just randomly came up to us and started talking to us about this idea that she had about a children's opera that she would love to get this project started.
Miss Javian and I and Aaron Crouch, we were all talking about putting on some type of children's opera. We didn't know necessarily what the story would be, but we all took an interest to that.
We received an email with more concrete details that it would be an adaptation of the story Anansi the Spider, which is a story that is pretty popular here amongst the elementary schools.
Let's begin. Let's do a slight little warm up really quickly. Girard College is a 1st through 12th grade boarding school that was founded in Philadelphia by, at the time, the richest man in America, Stephen Girard. The school opened in 1848, approximately 10 years after his death, and it was in his will that it was going to be a school for orphan white males. And I know that in the 60s, Martin Luther King and Cecil B. Moore actually marched and protested on the school, and there have been many protests before then, but they were successful in being able to open up the color barrier at Girard. And then in 1987, they started admitting girls to the school as well. The music program at Girard has always been here. It's taken on many different forms throughout the years and has many great success stories, as you would say. Curtis introduced the story to us, and they had already come with the idea that they wanted to do Anansi the Spider, and they thought it would be a great idea if they could get the children's choir, our children's choir, involved.
Girard was a really interesting place for us because it is such an important school with such an important mission. Can we create a meaningful project with a community that doesn't already come to Curtis. So what will happen is Aaron will sing, and you guys will listen, and he will sound amazing, because he always does. And then what you'll get is, after we get to the end of Aaron singing, I'm going to end up giving you your chord from the beginning. This piece is for 3 singers, so it's a tenor, a mezzo-soprano, and a soprano. It's for children's choir, and then it's the same instrumentation as the Prokofiev quintet, which is oboe. In my piece, the oboe doubles English horn, slightly bigger, lower oboe. Clarinet, and in my piece, the clarinetist doubles bass clarinet, so they also play the big low one. And then violin, viola, and double bass. It's kind of unusual because there's no cello, but I really like the sound of having the double bass, especially with the bass clarinet. You get a really nice, rich low end. And for me, the main difference between the sound of like a chamber piece and the sound of something bigger tends to be like the bass and the fact that there's someone playing really low down there. So I like that this instrumentation gives me that option. I also add a percussionist to that instrumentation.
I'm Kanika, and I'm the librettist of Anansi and the Great Light, which means I wrote the words. And I'm so happy to meet you. I haven't met you all yet. But I've been hearing a lot about you. I read the words that you
Our
said.
librettist, Kanika Ambrose, is the one who had this phenomenal idea to cast the kids as the character of the God of all things.
We weren't sure at first how to incorporate the kids into the opera. So I thought, there's the great God in Nyame, the God of all things. And I was like, well, we have this big children's choir. What better way to use that bigness than to have them be the God of all things? And so I told him, maybe for the first workshop when you go in, ask them, if you were the God of all things and Anansi asked you to hold this great light for him, what would you say? And some of the responses were they had so much like vigor and life and quirk and a little bit of bite to them. Nyame was like, why should I hold that light for you? I've got things to do. I'm the God of all things. I'm not here to hold a light for you.
The God of all things, I'm guessing it's like really powerful.
There we go. And once it gets all the way to the top, that's when
he's really a big part. And he would, the God would be mainly to be there and to for people to look up to him. So I'm guessing he would be proud to be a god. So the first creative workshop I did with the kids at Girard was designed sort of surreptitiously to give some text to our librettist, because we were trying to make sure that the story itself was influenced by the kids. I brought with me Lindsey Reynolds, our soprano, who plays Afia, and Aaron Crouch, our tenor, who plays Anansi.
I think that's what you want.
We read the story to the kids, and then I had them imagine that they were the character Nyame, the God of all things. And I asked, how would it feel to be the God of all things? And how would you feel if this Anansi character asked you for a favor? And what would you say? And so they wrote down these responses, these emotional words, and then some text that they would speak to Anansi as the God of all things. And then at the very bottom of the page, we started thinking about how to turn those ideas into music. So I said, what kind of pitch, high or low, should this idea have? And what kind of rhythm? Should it be fast or slow? What kind of color? Should it be light or should it be rich? And then I was able to send their text to our librettist, who completely changed some of the elements of our story. And especially the character of Nyame is unrecognizable from our initial thinking to the final draft, because the kids had so much to say as Nyame, and many of them had a lot of attitude about this idea that Anansi would be asking them for a favor. In the story, he asks Nyame to hold the moon for him.
The first time we went to Girard College, the children were very receptive to what it is that we had to say, and the fact that we were there just singing opera. Most of them, I don't think any of them said that they had ever heard opera before. They all pretty much said that they knew what it was, that they had never experienced it. And it was very interesting watching how attentive they were and how receptive they were to this crazy art form.
The kids love the opera singers, but this is really the first time that they've had an up-close experience with the opera vocalists. even getting to know them and having a two-way dialogue with them. So sometimes we'll have people come and sing for the kids and then they ask a couple questions and go away. But here they were actually really able to ask some of the kids questions and vice versa. The kids were asking them questions and then also asked them to sing maybe songs that they liked. And then they were pleasantly surprised that most of the opera singers liked hip-hop or R&B music as well.
They loved that I sang a bunch of high notes, so they really reacted to that. And Aaron has a very powerful voice, and so I think they really liked it. And we also got to talk with them after, and they asked a lot of questions. And one common question was, do you guys sing pop music or R&B? And so we got to sing a little for them, like to show them that we can do different types of singing, and they thought that was so cool.
So after the workshop, Nick scanned in a whole bunch of pages of text from the students, and I had a great time reading them, and I highlighted all the words and phrases that stood out to me, and I tried to incorporate as many of them as I could into the text.
Pretty much all of the students at this point now understand that they've created the character that they are. They've actually even put the words into the God of all things' mouth, and that they are now having to communicate that. So they've taken ownership of it, and they're really enjoying the ride right now.
It's been really fun working with Curtis. The kids have been getting more engaged. I get to see everyone talking about it, like at recess, on their free time. And I'm glad that they do, because it's making us know that they're having fun while doing this piece.
I showed up between two different rehearsals I attended. They all of a sudden had all this choreography they had just designed themselves, which is amazing.
Well, they are also going to be creating their own costumes and doing the set work as well. So I think for their costumes, we'll all be having blue shirts. So they're going to be the God of all things is sort of in the sky. So they're going to take sort of the formation of the sky, and so they'll all have blue shirts on, and maybe with cotton, or either we'll maybe get the teachers to do some spray bleach to change the colors and depth of their uniforms. And then we'll also probably have a couple different faces or heads that'll be behind to show the facial emotion. Their hand gestures will also be a communicative piece as well. Not all the way right there, stop.
There's a blob of paint right there.
I know, that's what I'm doing. There's nothing in your hair. And then for the set work, it's going to be small set work where it's supposed to be in the forest, so they'll do paintings of leaves and different things like that, and they're going to be the ones coming up with all those ideas as well. We'll give them some prompts, but really it's going to be all of their work.
You think it's just laying around in our campus?
Maybe we can show your Girard smarts.
My name is Tyrone Bowman. I became a designer fairly recently. For Anansi, I had to do a little research. I was familiar with the mythology behind it. I wanted to make them look cohesive. So Anansi's the father, so I have him in all black and gold. I wanted to incorporate gold in every single look, so there would be like family resemblance, and I could carry that deity theme throughout the entire look. One daughter has red and gold, and the other daughter has blue and gold. The fabric choices, they're all various African prints. One of the things I asked them when I had the initial sit down with them with Nick was like, what were their favorite colors? What were they comfortable wearing? Lindsey loves red. I put her in red. Aaron loves black. I put him in black. The sisters' outfits are probably one of my favorites. SC, her outfit is red and has a brocade and a print bottom. Afia, she has an entire jumpsuit.
I've always been very excited about this project.
Imagine that sheets you fall if I wasn't around.
My character's name is Afia. She's the younger sister to Essie. And she's kind of bratty, and she shows off a lot. She wants a lot of attention, because I don't think her father gives her as much attention as her older sister, Essie. And that's why she does the things she does, like her high notes and all her like held long notes. She does it because she wants attention, and it's not like anything malicious.
I was so excited that we got to be a part of this amazing project, because it's like, how many opera singers can say that there was a piece that was written for them? You know, we got to talk to the composer, and we got to tell him what we liked, you know, about our voices, and what we felt was comfortable with our voices, and what we liked in terms of music and stuff like that. So it was really fun being a part of the creative process. I'm Anansi. I'm the big spider in charge. I'm the father. I know in like Greek mythology, Anansi is a god who is like a trickster and a storyteller, and that's very present in the actual story, because he's on his way to one of his fancy adventures where he finds himself in trouble with a falcon, getting ready to be eaten by the falcon.
In Nyame, there has been trouble. There is always some trouble.
And Nick is great to work with. He has such an amazing mind, and he's very in tune with singers, which is very rare for composers of the past and of today. They think of us as instruments, when yes, the voice is an instrument, but we're a body, you know, and we can't sustain things as long as an actual instrument can, and you know, we can actually break beyond repair. And he's very in tune to what the voice needs and each specific voice type. We had sessions with him where we told him what it is that we needed, and you know, he put it onto paper pretty much exactly as we needed it. And he was very, very flexible when it came to if we felt like something needed to be different, something maybe needed to be higher, lower, faster, slower. He was very, very generous in, you know, making some revisions for us.
I want to just quickly introduce you guys to our performers. So you guys remember in rehearsals, someone was playing piano, right? Yeah. You guys remember that? So, and me a lot of the time, that's right. But I'm not playing piano in the show, and actually no one's playing piano in the show. Instead, this whole ensemble is playing all of the music. And so you get to hear it for the first time today. I think you're going to like it.
I think it's been really interesting watching the kids' interaction with Nick as far as being a composer is concerned, because now they understand what a composer does. Even when Curtis came during one of our first initial contacts, he asked the kids, what does a composer do, you know, or a songwriter versus a musician versus somebody who goes to see a musical or an opera. Kids were not aware of Curtis before this opportunity, so it's pretty cool, and I'm not quite sure all of them actually grasp the concept of what Curtis is. I mean, they know Curtis is a music school, but that it is the foremost music school for, you know, for classical music in the world, and that even that some of their past and even present students have been students their age.
My favorite part of the opera was the moment where the moon rose, because I just thought seeing the kids, pass this moon prop to one another with such seriousness. I mean, they really took it seriously, and they passed it really slowly, and they really brought to life this idea that this was a magical moment. For me, that was so powerful emotionally, even just that visual.
My favorite part of the story is when Anansi tells the story of how he was messing with the elephant, because in that scene I get to act out 3 different characters. I get to be Anansi, who is very frantic, and he's very swift and very sly and mischievous. I also get to be the tree that I'm saying that I'm impersonating in this story, who is very grounded and still and strong. And then I also get to be this elephant who is very timid but also clumsy and very big in his steps. And it's really cool to be able to make all of those changes in probably 2 pages.
Nyame says teamwork and sharing is more important than what's for me and for you. And I think that's a huge statement, and it can go in a lot of directions, a lot of areas of life. So I think that whoever ponders that statement will come up with their own conclusions on how they want to apply that into their life and what they see going on in the world.
I think a lot of the kids today see those options. There are 2 kids right now currently, 1 boy and 1 girl, that really want to take this on as a career. They actually came to me and like, "Oh, Mr. Eaton, I would love if you could teach me how to sing opera." I was like, "Sure." Because of seeing Curtis students come to the school.
There are tons of people in this world with a gift just lying dormant in them because of the fact that they're just not able to access this, whatever it is that they need, the tools that they need to practice or to take lessons or to get better at whatever it is that they want to do.
What I would take from this experience is that to never be afraid to be who you are, and be powerful in what you have and put your power into something that's greater. So that's what I took from this experience.
The importance of including the next generation in the creation of music, of theater, of opera. Because that's where it starts. Like for me, I always say, like if my drama teacher didn't take me when I was 15 to see an opera, and then after that there was a program that I could be in where I could create my own operas, and if those weren't available to me, then I wouldn't be doing what I was doing.
Remember this. People remember 2 things: how you start and how you end. Right? Yeah. So we want to try to see if we can get all these movements. I want the takeaway to be the fact that they can achieve anything that they set their mind to, that want them to realize that they are part of a professional organization and they are now themselves a professional organization, what the expectation is and how to conduct themselves on and off campus, the fact that they represent themselves, they represent their family, they represent the school, and that if they put their best foot forward, that there's nothing that they can't achieve with hard work.
I hope this opera gets done again. What I like about this opera as a piece that can be done many times is that it's always going to involve a children's choir. So what I see as the future for this piece is an opportunity to create every single time a real chance to engage a lot of kids in the creation of a new work.
Guess who I am? I'm Agwe, the god of water.
That means you're not going to like start the opera in 15. We're going to start the opera.
Wait, I don't care. She's not here. This is.
First time was a little too early.
Thank you so much. I like it.
Thank you for coming.